And welcome back to another Dynasty DNA YouTube special video. And this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm bringing you guys quite the treat today. I got my good friend, longtime buddy, Big Jimbo, Jimmy Ledbetter. He's going to be joining me for this YouTube special video. We're going to be talking about players that were fading at their current ADP from a Dynasty perspective. But one thing I got to tell you guys, you better get used to seeing his face because, as you all know, Dynasty DNA is going to be bringing you more content every week, 4 shows a week. And Big Jimbo is going to be the moderator and the head of the Fantasy Feud show with Muscles and Ty weekly. So you're going to see him every week. You excited for that, Jim?
Oh, I can't wait. I know how them guys get rowdy when they're talking to each other, and I'll be there to make sure I reel them back in.
That's it, man. Like I said, you're double the size they are. So I know you can handle them.
I'll wrestle them around if I have to.
So we're really excited to have you aboard. And for all of you that don't know, Jimmy's a great fantasy mind. He's a great football mind. We've been playing redraft together for years. So he knows this game inside and out. And we played Dynasty together for years. So.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to join the Dynasty DNA football team here, fantasy football team. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're happy to have you as part of the family, man, finally now. And it's all because of you guys. We're expanding, we're growing, we're able to bring you more content. So, like I said, you're going to get to see this guy every week, and it's going to be a treat for you because he is funny and he knows what he's talking about.
I can't wait.
So, we're going to hop in here. We're going to do these. We're each going to do a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, and a tight end that we're fading at their current ADP from a dynasty perspective.
Perfect.
And we're not going to talk a million years about it because this is going to be a little bit more of a shorter YouTube video so no one falls asleep.
Yeah.
But when we get into the main shows, we know we're going to go our normal hour 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but for this video, it's going to be a nice little video. And we know that fantasy drafts are kicking off this weekend, hot and heavy. Now, there were some last weekend, but there are a lot this weekend too. These are the 2 biggest fantasy football draft weekends there are in the year.
Absolutely.
So we want to try to have you ready. We want to try to get these players out there, maybe the players that we're trying to avoid, to try to get you guys ahead of the game a little bit. Big Jim's ready for the draft weekend. He's got his throwback Kenny Pickett jersey on. He's ready to roll. So
I can't wait.
I can't wait either, man. That first game can't come soon enough. Thursday, Lions and the Chiefs. I'm excited for it.
Me too.
But we're going to hop right in here. So we're going to start over here with Jim first. Jim, your first quarterback that you're fading at his current ADP from a dynasty fantasy football perspective, who is it?
DJ, I'm going to fade Lamar Jackson. Great quarterback, but has had some trouble staying on the field. He hasn't played a fantasy football playoff game in 3 years, and he hasn't played a full season in longer. So it's unfortunate, but it's the situation that he's in. Signed that big contract. That worries me a little. Coming off a 17 touchdown, 7 interception year last year, and only playing 12 games. I just think he's too high in the top 5.
And too, with that new offense coming in, that Todd Monken offense, where they're going to try spreading it out. Now, there's so many people, that are kind of hyping that up, and it could be good. Maybe we are going to be surprised by Lamar, but we know he's more of that tradition. What Greg Roman was trying to do, I know Greg Roman wasn't perfect, but he really tailored that old offense to what Lamar's specialties were.
Yes, it's changed, and I just don't think it's going to be the best system for him, and he's going to have a hard time living up to his expectations. There's a lot of good quarterbacks, good dynasty quarterbacks sitting below him that I think should be above him.
I like it, man. I really do. And like you said, from the injury perspective, I mean, that's the thing. And to the receivers, I know they've gotten better, but Zay Flowers, a rookie, we don't know what he is yet. We do like him, but still, I mean, he's just getting his career started. Then you have Odell Beckham, who could very well be washed. We don't know. I mean, coming off 2 ACL injuries, that's never a good thing. And two, he also has Rashad Bateman, who I do think has a lot of talent, but another guy just cannot stay healthy.
No, exactly. And then, same in their backfield, J.K. Dobbins. For Lamar to be successful, I think he needs to have a solid running back behind him, especially if he's going to stay healthy.
Definitely.
And if your quarterback and your running back can't stay healthy, it's a problem.
Yep. And that's just the big thing. Like I said, the health. I think the ability's there. Even with this new offense, it might be okay with Lamar, because if it all else breaks down, he could still be that guy, run, maybe throw it to Andrews. But if he's not healthy, like you said, that's the biggest thing.
Exactly. And there's always that chance with him.
I really like it, Jim. I like it a lot. Well, like I said, I hate to do this. We're Steeler fans. It's almost like we're picking on the AFC North here. And people are probably like, they're targeting the Browns or targeting the Ravens. That's not the case. But everyone knows, if you watch Dynasty DNA week in and week out, this is a guy that I just think is being picked way too totally high in startup drafts right now. And it's Deshaun Watson, quarterback, Cleveland Browns. I mean, I think a lot of people are holding out hope that he's going to still be that old Deshaun Watson from Houston. If that's the case, I'm definitely okay with where he's at, but there's been so much that he hasn't proven.
Absolutely. Coming off of 2 years, sitting a whole year out and then sitting out all but 6 games last year. He hasn't been Deshaun Watson in Houston in 2 years, and I think that's what they're thinking he's going to be.
And he's right now going off the board as the 10th quarterback being picked in dynasty startups. And the thing is, like, I've mentioned this lots of times, like, Cleveland is more of a run-based offense, but they're trying to get away from that. I don't know why. I think Watson might be even a little better off if they play towards their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they got Amari Cooper, who's okay. He's a likable guy, decent enough player. David Njoku's an athlete, but he's kind of inconsistent. They got Elijah Moore, who we do like, maybe more of a sleeper guy, but he's had his trouble staying on the field too.
Absolutely.
So Cleveland, I don't think it's like a perfect situation that, like, some people like to make it out to be. I know the media is really hyping the Browns up.
Absolutely.
But we've seen, and I don't let preseason and training camp like decide everything for me, because I know that it could be nonsense. But we have heard reports that he is struggling.
Yep.
And if you go back to the last few games last year, he did struggle to the last 2 weeks of the season. He did finish, I believe, quarterback 8 and quarterback 6.
Yep.
But you got to take into account the last game of the season. You had Patrick Mahomes sitting out. You had Josh Allen sitting out. So some of these bigger quarterbacks were sitting out, and he scored, I believe, 21 and 19 fantasy points respectively. And that's just not that many to be even that high. We all know that if you have a good dynasty quarterback, they should be getting you 20 plus easily.
Yeah, exactly. And if you group last year's games together, in 6 games, thrown for 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, that's not top 10 quarterback material.
That's subpar at best.
It is.
And I've mentioned it so many times. Like, I like Deshaun Watson as a quarterback too. But if he's going off the board 10th in the quarterback rankings in Dynasty Superflex, he is being rated as a quarterback 1. And I just don't think that's him.
No.
I think he's going to finish more around that 16 range. I've been saying it. I think he can do that. I think he's still able to get there.
Yeah, middle of the pack.
Yeah, middle of the pack. And if you have a Patrick Mahomes, a Jalen Hurts, a Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson would be a nice quarterback too in a Superflex league.
Absolutely.
It's keeping it in perspective.
Yeah, leading your team, I just don't see him being that guy.
Yeah, I just think his draft position's too high. If you can avoid him, I'm all for it. If you can get a fair trade for him in a dynasty league, I'm okay with it. But it's got to be a fair trade, and I'm not paying 2 first.
Absolutely, and all the outside noise that he still has going on, it's it's hard on a player to drown that all out, and then especially coming off of a couple years where you haven't played much.
And definitely a quarterback too. That's really hard.
100%.
Got to be focused and dialed in. But we're going to go over to the running backs now.
Yep.
I'm going to cruise back over here to you. Your first running back that you're fading at ADP from a dynasty perspective, who is it?
I'm going to fade Travis Etienne. Good player, but in Doug Peterson's offense, we all know from his Philly days, he loves to spread the ball around, run that committee backfield. I just don't see him being a top 10 running back this year. And with Tank Bigsby coming in behind him, he's going to have to really ball out to live up to his expectations.
That's it. And like you mentioned, man, you hit the nail on the head. Doug Peterson is a traditional. He likes the committee style backfield. We've seen it in Philadelphia. Tank Bigsby, like you said, that is a very good point. I had Travis Etienne as a sell on our Dynasty DNA last minute buys and sell show just yesterday. And a big reason is because of a lot of them reasons. I mean, okay, if it's a committee, you're already limiting the opportunities. Tank Bigsby is more of a power runner, so you're probably going to see a lot of red zone work out of him, especially down around the 5.
Absolutely.
And Trevor Lawrence is more of a mobile quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big thing with Etienne is so many people they just really believed in the pass catching ability that he had. And I do think he's okay at it, but Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville offense is not looking to dink and dunk. They're looking to throw the ball down the field.
Absolutely.
That's what kind of
great point.
That's what kind of quarterback he is. And now adding Calvin Ridley to that mix, Evan Ingram re-signs an extension. It's looking like they're going to be all guns guns blazing downfield.
Yep. And they like Ingram a lot. And like you said, Calvin Ridley, you got Christian Kirk, and then you still have Zay Jones lingering around, and Doug likes Zay.
Definitely. And, looking at ETN, he's going 8th running back off the board right now. That's just way too high. I know the age is appetizing. I know the offense is appetizing. But all the reasons we just mentioned is a big reason why I'm just staying clear of him. If I have him, if I could get a mid to high first in a trade scenario, I would do it. But from an ADP perspective, if I'm going to start up, he's someone I'm just not targeting.
Exactly. And he does have that potential for injury as well. And everybody does, but some are higher than others. And I think that is always a risk with ETN.
Definitely. And we've seen that bad, horrible injury he had his rookie season.
Absolutely.
We're going to go over to my running back that I'm fading in his current ADP. And could it be anyone else? It's Mr. Fade himself right now. It's Jonathan Taylor, running back Indianapolis Colts. We all know that this is a problem, man. Like what's going on in Indianapolis? It's an absolute shit show with Jim Irsay.
It is.
I seen a meme on the internet there, or they had Jim Irsay. It was a Scooby-Doo meme. They had Jim Irsay. They pulled the mask off, and it was Con from the Jacksonville, the owner. So I love that.
I love it.
I love that kind of stuff. They're thinking
That's so funny.
They're thinking someone's sabotaging them from the inside because they have Anthony Richardson coming in, great young talent, but one of the youngest starting quarterbacks ever. And, they have one of the best running backs in Jonathan Taylor. They know he's upset about his contract. They don't do anything about it. And there's really no one there to help their young quarterback. And Jonathan Taylor's out. I mean, like you said, they have 2 receivers on the roster right now, I believe.
Yep.
It's like, boy, whew, that ain't good.
It's scary. It is
scary. So, I mean, like I said, it's really easy to game plan against the Colts. You take away Michael Pittman and you stop Anthony Richardson running around. If there's no Jonathan Taylor, it's that easy. And we all know, here's another problem with Taylor and why I'm fading him. I know his value could go back up if, this whole thing works itself out, if he goes to another team. But if he does sit out this whole year, it could be a disaster. We've seen Le'Veon Bell not be the same. We see Melvin Gordon not be the same. And I think the biggest mistake with the Colts was they put him on the PUP list. I know he's dealing with that ankle problem, but this gives him a reason to sit out. And I'm not going to question Jonathan Taylor's integrity.
Right.
But these running backs, man, with these contract problems, with what's going on, I feel bad for them. They should be paid and compensated, especially someone like a Jonathan Taylor.
Yes.
He is Indianapolis's team. They need him on the field. So the fact that he's not being compensated, it does suck, and it would be discouraging. So if he is dealing with a little bit of an ankle problem, why play through it if you're not getting paid?
Exactly. And he is the veteran leader that they need on that offense, and without him, I don't see anybody being able to flourish, even if he is on the field.
Definitely, man. And like I said, if he goes to another team, does he fit that system? Is he going to be the same player? There's a lot of question marks there. I do think his value will go back up. And if I have Jonathan Taylor, I'm not underselling him right now because there's a lot of people probably panic selling Jonathan Taylor.
Absolutely.
And that's the worst thing you can do. Mm-hmm. And if I wouldn't mind buying Jonathan Taylor if I'm more of a productive struggle team. If I'm a rebuilder that can get him for a fair price, I'm talking fair price.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind bringing him in because you can afford to wait to maybe see if he becomes the old Jonathan Taylor again. But from an ADP perspective, with all this garbage that's going on with Indianapolis, the fact that he might not play, I'm just staying clear of him, man.
I agree.
And he's like the 4th running back going off the board right now.
Yep.
Just too high.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to cruise over here to you now. We're going into the wide receiver category, Big Jimbo. Your number 1 wide receiver that you're fading in his current ADP from a dynasty perspective.
It's super easy for me on this one. DJ Moore. I got to fade DJ Moore. He's not a top 5 wide receiver. He's not ranked as such either. But even a top 15 wide receiver coming off of a mediocre year in Carolina and coming to a run first offense with the biggest running quarterback in the league, I just don't see his production being sustainable.
And and I'm glad you said that because I'm low on the Chicago offense too. And Dynasty Wiz, one of our writers, he really busts my chops a lot about this. Like we go back and forth. He's more of a believer. I'm more on your side in this case. Like I like DJ Moore, the player. There's 30 other teams that he could have got traded to outside of Chicago, and I would have been super, super excited.
Absolutely.
But this is, like you said, everything you said, you nailed it on the head. They're more of a running style offense. They got a running style quarterback that, like, maybe Justin Fields does take the step, but man, I think it's a long shot. And you go back, he's made some wonderful plays in the preseason. These screen passes he's taken to the house. You're not going to take a 80-yard screen pass to the house every game.
No. Especially in the regular season, it's going to be hard to do that once, let alone every game.
Definitely, man. So what you're going to be relying on, and the big question is Chicago going to move the ball enough to put themselves in scoring situations?
Absolutely. And coming on last year of Cole Kmet, proving that he can catch the ball and he can move the ball. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed also on that offense. And when you got a quarterback that likes to tuck it down and run, it's hard to be a top 15 wide out.
That's it, man. And if that is the case and you're not getting receptions, then you got to bank on touchdowns. And are they going to be there? Because like you said, Cole Kmet's a touchdown guy.
Yep.
Fields likes to take it down himself. So
yes, and in 5 seasons as a wide receiver, 20 touchdowns, and 7 of those came last year when he had his worst year yard-wise.
I like it.
Coming off of 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons and then backpedaling last year to 800 and some yards, and the touchdowns aren't there, and I just don't see anything being there for him this year.
And too, not ancient news, but he is getting closer to the end.
Absolutely.
Getting a little bit older. I really like that, Jim. I'm glad that you're on the same page with me on that. Love DJ Moore, the player. Just not a great situation.
No.
We're going to go over back to me, my wide receiver that I'm selling that I'm avoiding at his current ADP. And Muscles is going to be upset about this. But it's Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Denver Broncos. You know he's going to be upset about this.
Yes, he is.
And I'm sure this is going to be a player we talk about on Fantasy Feud, probably
Absolutely.
one of the early episodes, because that's going to stoke Mus's fire a little bit.
It is, 100%.
But Jerry Jeudy, why I'm avoiding him is because he just hasn't lived up to the hype, man. Now, I do like the Denver offense from a perspective that I do think they'll be.
Yes, absolutely.
But we got a player that has always banged up. And I like Jerry Jeudy as a maybe mid-range wide receiver too, but I just think he's getting picked a little bit higher than he should be right now. And the injury stuff, man, I always say the best ability is availability.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's always banged up, I just do not want to have that problem on my dynasty team for the long haul. You don't have a player available like a Jerry Jeudy sitting in your wide receiver 2 position or your flex. It just really hurts. And it's early usually in the season. We're seeing it again. He's hurt, maybe 4 to 6 weeks right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. And then Sean Payton, we all know he loves to get his running backs involved in the passing game, and with Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine, they're both capable. When he is on the field, he's going to be battling to get targets.
I agree with that. And Greg Dulcich. And I know you're Dulcich.
I love Dulcich. Yep.
Yeah, we're both Dulcich people.
Yeah. So his situation isn't great along with his injury history.
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm just avoiding him. I just hate drafting players like that you can't count on.
No, nope. Not that early anyhow. I mean, if you can take a late round flyer and have him on your bench and hope that he does come back healthy, but the position he's going in is not going to live up.
Perfect. And I like that. Like you said, if you could take a late round flyer on someone with an injury history, that's one thing. But right in these middle rounds, right around where Jerry Jeudy's going, I've always said that's where the guts of your team's built. You got to have them guys available and ready to play.
Absolutely.
We're going to come back over to you now. We're going to do your last one, and it's a tight end, Jim. Your tight end that you're fading from a dynasty perspective of his current ADP.
Well, I'm going to pick on the AFC North a little bit more here, and I'm going to go back to Cleveland. We're going to go David Njoku.
Boy, the Browns fans are going to be throwing bottles at us. They're going to be upset.
I know, but hear me out. Deshaun Watson, running quarterback, in a run-first offense with Nick Chubb, and trying to fight for targets with Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, DJP, Anthony Schwartz. It's just a lot for David Njoku to live up for this year. And I think he's a good athlete, but his situation isn't great this year, I don't think.
And he's such a spiky player.
Absolutely.
We talked about this on the Dynasty DNA show a couple weeks ago with David Njoku. It's so frustrating because you see the talent, you see the ability, and then he'll go and he'll just he'll pull Casper the Ghost. He'll disappear for 3 or 4 games. Yep. It's like, where did he go?
Yep.
And then the next week he does it again and he's back. But you made a good point, man. Like with Cleveland, it could be like a spike team.
Yep.
Like, I look at, like, it could be an Amari Cooper week. It could be an Elijah Moore week. It could be a David Njoku week.
That's it too. Yep. And then, I mean, this is only Njoku's second year as the guy. Before that, you know, he was in a three tight end committee and stuff like that. And I don't think he's top 10 tight end material. That's for sure.
And you're right. Like, they like to even throw to that Harrison Bryant sometimes.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, David Njoku, as an athlete, I like him, but as a top 10 fantasy tight end, I just don't.
He's like Fool's gold.
Agree.
He's like Fool's gold. You know, I always say he's like the Wish version of Kyle Pitts. Like, it's so frustrating. You see the ability, you see the athleticism, and it's like, man, you get them spike weeks and you just wish it could continue. And too, he's 27.
Yep.
Getting kind of closer to the end, and he is signed with Cleveland. So, I mean, is that good? Is that bad? I mean, let's put it like this. He's been with Cleveland how long now? We haven't seen a top finish from him yet.
No.
So I'm like you. I think now's a good time to maybe just to try to avoid him. And if I have him on my dynasty team, I love the player. It's so frustrating, but maybe it's time. Can you get a good deal for David Njoku and move on?
Yep.
I mean, next year there's a good draft class coming. So
There is.
I really like that, Jim. I really like that fade on Njoku. That was a good one, even though, like I said, the AFC North's really upset with us right now.
Yeah. All I'm saying is if you can get a Dulcich for Njoku, you bet you got to take that bait.
I like that. I like that thought. Dulcich for Njoku. I might try that. Man.
Yeah.
And try to get ahead of the curve. Maybe you could get plus. Maybe you get Dulcich plus.
Yeah, right.
Good thinking. I like that. But we're going to go over to me now. It's the last one we're going to fade, and it's my tight end. And this one it's a little tougher with tight ends, but
it is.
I think like with the one I'm going to do, I'm going to justify it, and it's going to be Dallas Goedert. I'm going to fade him at his current ADP.
I mean, that.
We've seen like he has been able to handle being in that group with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, but like he's the kind of guy, like, I don't know, like if I'm building a win now team, he might not be a bad option.
Right.
But if I'm kind of in the middle or a rebuilder, I think I'm going to try to look somewhere else because I think his floor is always going to be maybe tight end 7 to tight end 10. And you're just never going to get up there with your Mark Andrews, your Travis Kelce's, you know, these elite guys, your Hawkinsons.
That's right. And they brought in DeAndre Swift this year, another pass catching running back.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be hard for Goddard to live up for it.
And he can be a little banged up from time to time too.
Injury. Yep.
But I don't think he's gonna like from what he did last year. I do think he's not gonna finish quite as high because, like you said with Swift, that's a great point.
Yep.
And they still got Kenneth Gainwell, which I mean.
He also likes to he gets some red zone catches and stuff like that.
And Hurts likes to tuck it and run it himself.
Absolutely.
So it could be tougher for Goddard this year. I think maybe now's the time, like you said, and I think Swift's the big thing. Now could be the time to maybe try to pull the plug. If you are a win now team and you hold Dallas Goedert, I get that. But if you're a rebuilder middle of the road, I think it's a good time to trade. Could I get a Dulcich plus?
Yes, exactly. I like that. And I agree with what you said as far as Goddard goes last year stats wise. I don't see him matching that either. And even last year he struggled at times and struggles to stay healthy, and all the other mouths to feed in Philly and Jalen Hurts. He's not going to live up.
And and that's why I'm so glad you're here, and that's why I'm so glad you're going to be joining us, because I said the DeAndre Swift thing even slipped my mind, and that made it even better of a sell, or even better of a fade. So
absolutely.
Appreciate you saying that too, Jim, and I think that's a good one. But I'm glad we got these in here because, like I mentioned right at the start of the show, we are talking, the biggest 2 weekends of fantasy football drafts for startups. I mean, last weekend and this weekend. So we're going to get this video out to you tomorrow, so that way it's ready to go for the weekend, so you guys have it. These guys all, I think, are great people to avoid in your dynasty startups.
Absolutely, I agree.
But as I mentioned, guys, you're going to see more of this guy. He's going to be on the Fantasy Feud show every week with Ty and Muss. It's going to be a weekly show, Dynasty Debates. I can't wait.
I look forward to it. I can't wait either. I appreciate you guys bringing me in on the Dynasty DNA fantasy football family here, and it's going to be a good time.
We're happy to have you, and I know the DNA Strand crew is going to love you because I know one thing, you know your stuff and you're entertaining, and they're going to love that. I can't wait to see the shows, and it's all thanks to you guys because we're doing more content because the views are there, the downloads are there. The DNA Strand crew are the best. Couple things to mention here real quick, guys. Follow us on Twitter at DynastyDNA_. Be sure to subscribe and like this video. Comment. Let us know if you didn't feel like maybe some of these guys should be fades. Let us know what you think. Maybe your reasons for justifying that. And we'd love to talk to you in the comments.
Yeah. Share your list with us. You know, you're the biggest position you're going to fade, and see if we can touch base with it.
Definitely, man. Definitely. But again, guys, follow us on Spotify, Apple Pod, Stitcher, Google, Amazon. We're on all the big podcasting platforms. Check us out over there. We'd love to have you listen to us weekly. As I mentioned, we'll be doing 4 shows a week, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're going to have a lot of fun. I can't wait for Fantasy Feud.
That's right, baby. And, I will say this, good luck in all your startup drafts, and we will see you guys on the next Dynasty DNA YouTube video.
Good luck, everyone.
See ya.